Welcome to The InEVitable, a podcast by MotorTrend.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of The InEVitable. My name is Ed Lowe. I'm the head of editorial at MotorTrend, and this is MotorTrend's vodcast about the future of mobility. I'm joined, as always, by Jonny Lieberman.
Hello.
Influencer, senior features editor. And this vodcast, is brought to you by the all-electric Nissan Ariya, inspired by the future, designed for the now. And we have a great episode.
This one is wild.
It's wild,
actually.
okay?
This is sort of like, we probably should have done this like 10 years ago. But
well, we tried.
What did we know?
We've been trying really hard to get folks like this on the podcast. This one, like the last one and the one that's coming next week, these were all recorded at CES. And these are all about basically what's coming from the Far East. So we have a president of a Chinese EV manufacturer and a electric flying car manufacturer in XPeng.
Yeah.
Dr. Brian Gu from XPeng.
Yeah.
And then we have with him Cheng, who was actually one of my favorite interviews
Maybe
I've done
ever.
in a long time. Yeah. From a company that you've never heard of called Mobility and Harmony, MIH.
Yeah. Except that half the things you're looking at and touching currently by listening to us was made by his company.
Yes, made by a company that he was long affiliated with. And then he's got this huge, long, deep background with companies you know and love like Ford and Fiat Chrysler, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot. There's a lot coming in this episode. It's really good.
But before that,
we have our question of the week.
That's right.
Which is related to this, which is something we actually, in roundabout ways, asked both of these experts, which is Chinese EVs. We hear a lot about them. We hear how awesome they are, how they're going to come to wipe out. They're like the asteroid that's coming to get the dinosaurs, the American dinosaur car companies.
Yeah. Are they inevitable in the U.S.?
Are they inevitable? When are they coming?
Yeah.
We've been trying to get different Chinese automotive executives to sit down and talk with us on record so that I can ask them this question, because I keep hearing it from all sorts of people.
I mean, look, when we had Jim Farley, the president and CEO of Ford Motor Company on, you could tell, spends like a good part of his day thinking about Chinese car companies.
Yes.
And Elon Musk, a couple days ago, said that Chinese car companies will wipe out domestic car companies unless we put up protectionist barriers.
Yes. Yes,
So,
got a lot of former globalist thinkers thinking about maybe getting a little more national and throwing up some barriers because of how good these vehicles are.
I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, because I'm old enough to remember when Detroit was going to be wiped out entirely by Japan in the early 90s.
Japan Inc. and then Korea.
Yeah, and it never really happens because the cars that Americans really like to buy aren't cars at all. They're big trucks. They're big SUVs. Nobody else has done that. Now, if China decided to build these cars? I don't know. Do we know when they're coming? We still don't really know, but
Actually, we do. So here's the curveball.
Oh.
We know when they're coming, and they're coming this year. And in fact, they're already here. And it's a company that you know of called Volvo.
Yeah.
Okay, so Volvo is owned by Geely. It's one of the many brands that Geely owns. They own Volvo, Polestar, and this new one called Zeekr.
And Lotus.
And they have a financial controlling interest in Lotus.
Well, no. Like that Lotus SUV. I mean, that's designed in China by Chinese engineers. So
if you're really curious, the first Chinese EV you're going to see in America at scale will come under the Lotus badge. Under the Volvo badge. They probably don't like us saying it that way, but it's true.
I think it's simultaneous because I think that Lotus one's also on sale. It's the Electra SUV, but it's very different. So the Volvo has the EX30, which is awesome. Little mini thing, cheap, really high design.
That's the point. Like the Lotus one, very few people listening to us or watching us will be able to smell the inside of that car. But this Volvo one, this EX30, is going to come in supposedly around $30,000 to $35,000 with the tax incentive.
Yep.
So that will be the first. That will probably go down in history as like the first Swedish/Chinese EV at scale to come to the U.S.
Yeah, I'd be curious how it does. And also, again, that I drove the Lotus, and it's a 904 horsepower, awesome EV. I was shocked by how good it was. And what I'm hearing though is that those vehicles, and we have somebody who drove the EX30 and said it was actually very good to drive. That's sort of what all Chinese EVs are like. So they're capable of making these very, very high quality products. They just don't have any distribution network in the U.S., but they're in Mexico, they're in Canada, they're coming to Europe.
Well, and fun fact, if you're a longtime listener, you'll remember when we had the color and materials expert from Volvo on, Rekha Meena.
Yep.
While we were talking to her, this is the project. That EX30 was what she was working on. Yeah. And they just launched it.
And I saw it in New York. And
it's amazing.
It's a really, beautiful. Again, like high design, kind of like what Apple does, where, it's a product that everybody can afford or figure out a way to afford, but the design is just high end, and that's what this EX30 looks like. It's really smart.
Right.
And like, they did stuff like VW did it with what's that thing, the ID4, where they removed window switches. But in the VW, you feel like insulted by how they do it. Where in the Volvo, it's really slick how they did it. And you're like, oh, that's smart. So it's cool. It's very cool. Right.
So there's the question of the week. Please keep asking them. Shoot them directly to us in the comments on this video on YouTube. If you like it, we'll send you some swag.
Yeah.
Also, shoot it to Jonny at his Instagram handle, Jonny Lieberman, or me at Lowdown on Instagram. Or you can send us an email, motortrend@motortrend.com, with any of your questions, and we'll pick the best ones. Okay, so let's get into it. Again, back at CES, we chatted with these two guys, subject matter experts representing a Chinese car company and one that's sort of like Chinese/Taiwanese. So first up, you will hear from Dr. Brian Gu of XPeng, and then followed up by Jack Cheng of MIH Mobility in Harmony. So let's talk. Brian Gu, so happy to have you here on the show. I want to get into it right away. You guys dropped something over here just outside of BlackBerry's booth over here in the XPeng, the AeroHT?
AeroHT, yes.
Okay, that's saying it right. It's not AeroHT.
No.
And it's a flying car.
It is flying car. Exactly.
Okay. Now, one of your coworkers said, "Oh yeah, no, the prototype flies and it's going into production next year." Is this true?
That's true. We actually are. At ACS, we announced that we're going to start taking pre-orders by the end of this year, and we aim to start delivering with the produced products by the end of next year to consumers.
And you're not kidding. Like at the end of 2025, somebody somewhere will be able to go buy a flying car that actually flies.
That's the plan.
Now, but it's not. Well, hang on. But it's not. Is it this one or is it the one that I saw?
It's
in the booth, the modular.
It's a modular design one.
The six-wheeler.
The six-wheeler.
Oh, that's the one I want.
Yeah, that's a very cool.
Can we have one?
Hang on. We'll get there.
Ed, your questions don't matter. Can we? It is. I love that. That's the coolest looking thing here.
Let me set it up. Okay, so hopefully for people watching the video, we will cut in some footage of XPeng's modular electric vehicle with a small helicopter, two-passenger quad rotor helicopter that sits in the back, comes out, and can fly remotely. Your PR guy said, start production by the end of this year, taking orders. They will fly. They apparently can fly in China or be purchased and flown in China, no problem. He actually said there are certain instances where you can fly these things in the U.S. You can fly. What class of vehicle is the little helicopter?
Well, the current plan is to first launch in the Chinese market. So we have not planned for any U.S. launch yet. So all the analysis, the product, the regulatory analysis, all based on the China market.
Okay.
So that's one. Secondly, is that the reason we think this will be an easier product to be launched is because this is aimed to be used in scenarios where this off-road, it's remote or scenic areas. It's not aimed to immediately fly over people's head and buildings. So does not involve urban transportation in the first instance. So we will slowly get people used to flying, maybe work with local government, municipalities, come up with a flying zone or designated flying areas, scenic, lake, river, sand dunes, mountains.
Recreational. Like an ATV, but for the air kind of thing.
And then you start getting the opportunity to fly. That actually is the first step.
Right.
How long can you fly? What's the duration of? Because I heard the vehicle itself acts as like a docking charging station, but how long is each individual flight?
So the vehicle is using the extended range technology, which is, just imagine this as a charger. It can use gas. It can also, it's like hybrid, but also produces electricity.
Sure.
And then what this does is that, the flying drone is actually electric, pure battery electric. It can fly around 20 kilometers in range, the total range.
Yep.
And but it can be constantly charged when it's loaded onto this 6-wheel vehicle.
Right. Yeah. So you fly somewhere, land, go drive. It's being charged as you go to your next location.
Exactly.
Put the drone
So
up, look around, and
Well, it's not a drone because you're.
Well, okay, it's not a drone, but quadcopter. But it was glass on either side, so like pretty good visibility out.
Right, it's a 270-degree open panoramic view from the cockpit. It's very beautiful. We actually have a lot of safety features designed into this flying drone. We actually, for the flying part, we have been testing over the last many years and done tens of thousands of various iterations of flying tests. We even did a flying test in Dubai last year.
Right,
So it has been tested repeatedly. Now it's actually coming together, the automobile part and the flying part together.
So 20 kilometers. But okay, but how long is the flight, or how fast can it go?
Well, I think the flying, I would say time is roughly 20 minutes.
20 minutes,
So you
okay.
can get a sense of it's roughly 60 kilometers per hour.
Okay.
That kind of speed.
But I mean, look, most helicopter flights aren't much longer than that, anyways. Gas-powered helicopters, so it's not crazy. But also, you're returning to something that'll refuel it. So
Right.
it's really
and,
cool.
And again, so the car, the helicopter is pure electric. The car can be a hybrid or it's electric, or what?
It's a hybrid.
It's a hybrid.
It's
okay.
a hybrid with extended range technology.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then roughly cost? Are we talking about? Have you mentioned this at all?
We
or-
haven't announced, or we even haven't decided on the price. Obviously, that all depends on when we get to a final product. But we want to make this feeling like you're buying a luxury vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that kind of price.
If you're listening, just Google XPeng flying car. It's so cool looking. The 6-wheeled vehicle is just such a great design.
And is it the same chassis or architecture as the one you're showing here that has the folding?
Fold out.
It's a
rotors.
different
Yeah,
chassis.
no,
Obviously, it's a bigger. It needs
Okay.
to take on much bigger, larger weight, and also because the powertrain technology is different. So
Okay.
there's a lot of
There you go.
differences.
Okay.
Okay.
How many passengers in that modular vehicle? The car has two.
The flying part can take up to 2 people, and the flying module can easily, comfortably have 4 to 5 passengers.
The driving.
The driving,
Yeah,
the
driving.
module.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
it's a regular
Okay.
car.
Super cool.
All right. Enough with flying cars.
Well, let's. I do want to talk a little bit about the one you've shown here.
we're running out of time. We got the XPeng. Come on.
I got it. So the vehicle that hopefully we'll show some video on this if you're watching this. The arms fold out. There are 4 arms, 2 rotors each, so a total of 8 rotors, and I think they're counter-rotating. Is that correct?
Yes, counter-rotating.
Counter-rotating. It seems very much modeled after what I think the reference point for most people these days would be. It looks like a scaled up drone, like a DJI, like a Mavic, that these things fold down. You put it in your backpack. Is that accurate, or would you say? I know it's
Well,
much
I
more
mean,
complicated than that.
there's a lot of eVTOLs out there, right? The
Yes.
companies that build human flying electric,
Getting to be a lot, yeah,
vertically
yeah.
taking off units, use similar technologies. But I would say the challenges in the sophistication is so much different compared to unmanned drone, right?
Okay.
You're talking about the weight is different. You have to consider the human interaction, navigation, safety. All that actually requires a totally different thinking on product side.
I saw in your video you were running that there was a parachute. So if something goes wrong, the nose tips and a parachute blows out the rear.
Well, so that's one of the technology we're trying to also develop for low altitude flying, because parachute, how do you do it very safely and
Right.
and at that right moment you actually can provide the rescue or the safety features. So all
But
these
it's
are
just
technologies.
interesting because I've been talking to a lot of eVTOL companies, and I mentioned parachute. They're like, no, we don't need that. But I saw yours. I was like,
Well, that was a test video. That one had skids. It's the smaller. I think the single, is that the single person?
No, that's the flying drone that we've been testing, right?
In-
Now
in-
we're,
yes,
Yeah,
okay.
we're trying to figure out how. Again, we don't have the final design for that, but
Right.
I think we are trying to put in as much safety measures as we can to make sure the flying part, it has redundancy.
Rotors,
if you
right,
lose power in one of the 4, you can still fly. There are a lot of
Yeah.
these things that we want to,
That's
build into
actually what I want to talk about in terms of safety. So we did on a previous episode, we had, I think one of your competitors, we had a guy from Joby on, who talked about how a lot of these eVTOLs have multiple arms,
Multiple rotors,
multiple rotors,
multiple batteries.
it's multiple redundancy. So with this vehicle that has 4 arms, 8 rotors, counter-rotating, how many rotors can you lose and it still can land safely?
Again, I mean, you probably need to talk to the team on the specific, the technical capacity, specifications. But I think we have built in, redundancy to, address specifically these scenarios, losing power on 1 or 2 motors. Yeah.
Okay, so does counter-rotating rotors? This is sort of a basic helicopter question. Do they provide I think they provide an auto rotate to land safely? Because the Russians do that. Sikorsky has done those where they're auto rotating. They don't have a tail rotor.
I'm a
I don't
car
know.
guy.
I mean, I think again, you're
Yeah,
asking
yeah,
more
yeah.
technical.
Yeah. Let's go to
about
cars.
eVTOL.
Let's go to cars.
Let's go to cars. Yeah,
Okay,
geez.
so XPeng. So we through our
mentor,
mentor,
former boss, who now
Angus
yeah.
McKenzie drove an XPeng P7 and said, "This is the best car I've driven
Most
in that
impressive
year.
car.
Most impressive car I've driven that year." That was in 2022.
And sort of like it's really time for Westerners to take the Chinese car industry seriously because they're building world-class cars. And it was the first kind of Western journalist I saw write that, and I was like, XPeng, okay. So
Now here we are in 2024, and
yeah.
we still haven't driven one. When can we expect to get some seat time in some XPeng vehicles?
Well, we are starting our global journey as a company. It takes steps, right? I mean, we actually started a few years ago to build a presence in some of the Nordic countries. So that's why last year we start delivering some of our models to Norway, Denmark,
They're
Sweden,
huge on EVs.
and Netherlands. So if you happen to travel there, you can see our car on the street. In fact, we started delivering in the 4th quarter of our G9, which is the latest SUV. And my understanding is that by November, it's already the best-selling, full-size SUV in the electric, category in Denmark and Norway.
No kidding.
So it's a very popular. People love the product. And I think we want to expand that sort of market to more countries and more customers we can reach. So we will be extending to more European countries using the same obviously product that's approved for the European EU. So this year we're looking at Germany and maybe other countries like France and other larger markets. We also are starting this year in the Middle East. We actually are, signing our partners and also launching sales in some Middle Eastern countries this year. We also will be launching the first right-hand driving model, which will address the right-hand driving markets like UK, Southeast Asia, and Hong Kong. So we'll do this stepwise, and we'll hopefully get to the US. But again,
so if I'm hearing you correctly, Ed's going to send me to Norway.
Well, you make a joke. First of all, I want to applaud you for coming on. I have been trying to get XPeng. I've been trying to get any Chinese manufacturer to sit in the chair and chat with us. And there seems to be this hesitancy because of this question we're going to ask, which is, when are you coming to the U.S.? I hear you, everybody else first, and eventually the U.S. What, in your mind, what has to happen? I know there's a lot. There's some political stuff. What's the holdup for coming here? Especially because we just did this exploration in Mexico and how all the Chinese manufacturers are setting up shop just south of our border. Like, it just seems like it's going to happen. But what's the big step that needs to?
No, it's a big market. For EV, it is one of the most important markets, and also it's one of the, I would say, toughest market to really be successful. I mean, look at Japanese took 20, 30 years. Korean took same amount of time to establish themselves. It's not something you can just say, I'll drop my vehicles here and then here we go.
They're gonna sell themselves
again, also we are
magically, right?
building smart EV, right? So we want to showcase not just an electric vehicle. The technology, hopefully we can actually allow the drivers to enjoy at the same time as our customers around the world can enjoy it. Hopefully with the same technology we launch in China. So, with that goal, we need to be, really well prepared before we actually decide to make an entry. And,
So in other words, I have a very American-centric outlook, and so I assume everybody wants to come here, and I know that's not always the case. But for Chinese automakers, XPeng specifically, like that's a goal, is to get into the U.S. market.
I think ultimately, I think U.S. market cannot be ignored.
Right.
Really? Okay.
I mean, look, we're 15 million-ish new vehicles a year,
but, okay.
second only to China. So
Here's the thing, though, right? The thing that, and I've said this a couple times, the mind-blowing thing is, your competitor, BYD, apparently, I haven't validated this, but it's made all the news about the last week, that they've surpassed Tesla. They're now the global leader in electric vehicle sales, or new generation vehicle sales, whatever. The wild thing for everybody listening and watching is that they did it without selling a single vehicle in the U.S. Point one. Point two, again, had a chat with Jim Farley. He said, watch what China is doing. But also, the China market does not need American brands. They don't need Ford. They don't need Chevy. They don't need VW or Toyota.
Anymore.
They might need the premium brands because the Chinese consumer likes the premium luxury goods. Is that true? Do you believe, this is sort of a bigger picture question for you, does China need U.S. brands, and does XPeng need America to be successful? Sort of the counter.
Well, I always believed, we are all connected. The world, the technology should not be limited to just one region. The product, if it's really good product, should be enjoyed by all customers, right? I mean, that's my belief.
Absolutely.
So the first question is that it's not about whether it's European or Japanese or American brands. If it's a good car at the right price, it should sell well. And I think in China, you're looking at, there's a lot of competitors, and then I think in EV, in Chinese market, driving technology or smart cabin sort of behavior, some of the Chinese players actually had a, probably more faster reaction to the market demand.
Yes.
And, the result is that they will be coming up with cars that's more attractive, more affordable, has a China, specifics that people like to use. And that's why people enjoy it. It does point to that in EV era, the legacy brand equity is not as strong as the traditional automobile side.
Right.
But it doesn't not mean it's because it's Japanese or just because German. It's just like people are saying, okay, for EV, I'm willing to try the latest technology regardless where it's from.
Is it also not that, China has had tremendous growth in one generation, right? They talk about 400 million people going from poverty up into the middle class. And becoming drivers. We're like generation 1.5 of Chinese drivers. There is no nostalgia for old brands. It's not like somebody in China, their grandfather drove a Ford and their dad drove a Ford and now they're going to drive a Ford. There is this acceptance of new brands. It's like, I don't think fondly of these old, I'm just interested in what I can get now for the money that I have and for the best experience. Is that accurate? Or?
Well, I think first of all, it is not entirely accurate because brand equity is still worth something, right? People have built through their word of mouth, service network, a product on the road. People, there's awareness.
And,
so all that
Ferrari is a Ferrari.
Ferrari is Ferrari.
Yeah.
People still want, Lamborghini Ferrari because it's cool, expensive, it's an icon. But in the mainstream market,
that's what I'm talking about.
That's what actually people are saying, that we don't think we necessarily have to go for the legacy brand, especially for EVs. And EV with smart technologies, we'll trust the Chinese technology.
All right.
That's good.
Let's say, fast forward a couple years, there's an XPeng dealership, I'm going in, sell me on it. Why would I buy an XPeng?
What's the USP for
what's your special
XPeng
power?
beyond?
Well, I think first of all, our XPeng, the product, we want to be viewed as more than an electric vehicle. Because in our mind that future mobility, obviously energy transition is very important. But really, to change people's driving behavior, it is actually the smartification That's a word I can't always use, rather than the electrification. Because electrification, I think there's many players can actually put batteries in the vehicle and make it electric. But I think changing the user experience and people's embracing new technology, how you drive, how to use the vehicles, how do you interact with the vehicles, that is going to be defining the future. So that's what we want to be focused on. We want to produce attractively designed, very solid, with electric powered vehicle as a basis. But on top of it, we want to be viewed as really the technology product, in addition to be a solid electric automobile.
And so what is like XPeng doing with this technology that's different than like that one's doing or they're doing?
So first of all, we want to lead on the the most important elements of the technology along this smart EV. That's the category, smart EV, right? So for example, in our product, we were probably the first one to launch the mass-produced high voltage platform, SUV like G9. For example, we led the industry in that wave. So that's why our products are always viewed as one of the fastest charging EVs in the world. G9 has that reputation.
Okay.
We also led with a very, well-recognized, smart cabin and electronic architecture that makes, the interaction with the vehicle much smoother, intuitive voice. It integrates the content, the navigation, the comfort, everything. That's also an area that we are well known in China. But the most important thing that we stand out in China is our autonomous driving capability, which we provide a high degree, what we call the XNGP, in our vehicles. Now, all the new models that we're selling will be equipped with the XNGP capability, which essentially is, the ADAS function that allows the vehicle to drive mostly, 99+% in urban driving conditions in busy streets in China.
And this is hands-free?
Well, legally, you're still not allowed to do hands-free in China yet.
Okay, so we're talking,
level 3.
We would call that level 2 if you have to have your hands.
So that's why I never said level 3, because legally, you're not allowed to market level 3 or level 4 in China.
But in California, let's say, where it is legal to have level 3, if we had an XPeng here, would it operate as a level 3?
Well,
theoretically?
Again, that we need to understand the regulatory requirement. I cannot say that today because I haven't done the necessary work. But the technology is essentially letting the driver has a much more freer operation of the vehicle without constantly doing this while you're driving.
Right.
And that's what's actually happening to drivers using our vehicles in hundreds of cities in China already.
Right.
Let me
fascinating,
get a little personal here. I looked you up. You are a University of Oregon undergrad.
That's right. Ducks.
Oh, yeah?
And then a Yale.
Husky, Ducks and Husky and Bulldog. Yeah, so.
Okay.
But not in that order, right? Did you do Yale and then came back for?
No, I did the undergrad in chemistry at Oregon. I did a PhD in biochemistry in Washington. And I did my MBA. So I switched gear after my scientific studies.
How the heck?
You just like being in school.
Yeah. How the heck are you a chemistry, biochemistry PhD?
MBA, yeah.
And then you did banking. You were at.
Yeah, I was a banker for 20 years. Wall Street for 6 years, and then Asia for 14 years with JP Morgan.
Okay.
So.
You got bored with money? You're like, I want to do something more exciting?
Just, I would say, banking is a great way to see a lot of things. You probably know bankers, right? I mean, we deal with different companies and different personalities, especially that period. I went back to China and Hong Kong in 2004, start covering Chinese clients. And for 14 years, you saw the explosion of the entrepreneurs that really made an impact in China. On the technology side, on the internet side, Alibaba is one of the companies I worked with, and Tencent, Baidu. I saw the entrepreneurship really taking hold in the Chinese
And if you've
world.
never heard of Alibaba, Google them. Amazon, I think bigger than Amazon, or almost as bigger retail-wise than Amazon.
Yeah, because of the
it's
market.
Huge. Yeah.
Wait, how long were you in America total?
I was in the U.S. total for 17 years.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And it continuously?
Well, 2 years when I was in middle school, actually. But then for 15 years continuously. Yeah.
Right.
So then when you come back to a show like CES, because you're based in China, in Hong Kong?
I'm based in Hong Kong.
You're
Yeah,
based
my
in Hong Kong?
family is in Hong Kong.
So it's my family. But so you're based at what? Do you just think like, wow, this country's all so backwards? So the cars are, the Chinese cars are so far ahead, or what's your take? Or is there any nostalgia for the time you spent here? Or
Well, I think I really like driving in the U.S. The roads, the open space. Think about it, Oregon, Washington. You have the coast, right?
Beautiful.
You have the Cascades.
Oregon coast is some of the most beautiful.
So driving-wise, I think the driving pleasure is actually driving the U.S. With all these
Right.
nice landscape and roads. But I think the technology. I actually enjoy talking and using voice to command my vehicle, allowing the XNGP to take over when I need them. I enjoy that part in China.
Right.
okay. Well, I know we're running out of time. What do you drive? What cars? Do you have any fun cars?
Well, I have the G9. I used to have the P7, but that was always 2 years ago when P7 first launched. But I'm now driving the G9, which is the latest SUV.
Okay.
But I'm actually getting an X9, which is the brand new MPV product we actually launched. Start delivering this month.
That
This
would
is-
interest you.
I'm a huge
Yeah,
minivan
he likes
fan.
minivans.
I love
Oh, yeah.
minivans.
It's more than a minivan.
I know. But
Okay, well, tell us about it. Tell
Nine
us about it.
passengers. Does it mean 3 rows of 3?
Well, it's first of all, it's still 3 rows, right? I mean, it's a 7-passenger
Oh,
car,
7. I thought it was 9.
but it's so much more than a regular MPV. So think about it. First of all, it's a pure battery electric, large space,
Yeah.
5.3 meters, total length, and then also
It's 18
lots,
feet.
lots of space. It has the XNGP, so there's the top of the line autonomous driving capabilities. It has rear wheel turning. So for a large vehicle, it drives
Easy to
more
park.
nimbler than the Smart. I mean, think about it. That is a cool feature for a large vehicle.
We love rear steer.
You have
Yeah.
also automatically, the one button, it folds the third row into a flat bed. So it's a huge room. You can pack like
I'm sold.
20 plus suitcases in there. And it's,
Dual sliding.
and then
doors, remote.
you have dual sliding doors. There's beautiful seats that can be zero gravity, which means that you can just lie down. It's like a sleeping pod. There's a huge screen. You can command and control with your control vehicle. There's actually the first time you have central air system. It's like think about it, it's not a vent. It's not like they don't blow in your face, right? It's almost like a central air that sends the temperature down with small fine of these hairs.
You're killing me. So
All
when,
that
when are these
technology.
things, when is this? When can I buy one? I mean, this is like.
I mean, look, I was gonna say the minivans that I like are like the Japanese market, where it's like a 4-passenger minivan
Alphard,
with a
yes.
45-inch
Yeah,
screen.
I got
That's,
you.
that's
Think about it. I mean, this is actually, even though it's a minivan, because of the rear wheel turning, because the XNGP, so driving it, is so much more convenient. So I think it's actually can appeal to both the minivan crowd as well as the MPV, SUV crowd.
Sure.
Because people want to drive this vehicle now.
I have a brand ambassador for you, a good friend of ours. He was in the Fast and the Furious movie. His name is Sung Kang. He loves minivans. He loves minivans. So I'll connect you guys if you want Sung
Absolutely.
to be your,
We'll show him the X9.
Yeah. I don't know if you need a face. He's a
good face.
He's Korean, but
Listen, I know we're out of time. We would love to have you on again. To Johnny's opening question, we would move heaven and earth for a flying car test vehicle. We
Six-wheeler,
we have some test facilities in California where you don't need, they could be unlicensed. We can fly them around. Let's talk off camera about maybe.
Yeah, and then after Ed sends me to Norway to drive the G9, we can talk again.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, maybe not, in a few months, in probably more countries. You don't need to be in Norway, maybe Germany or others.
Norway's
Norway's
good.
fun.
Norway's
It's
good.
pretty,
Yeah,
especially
Norway's-
driving on the northern coast.
Yeah.
That would be the right picture to take.
Listen to Mr. Gu, Ed. Listen.
All right. Well, thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
Really appreciate
Johnny.
your time.
This
Thank
is
you.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, that was certainly interesting.
If you're listening at home and you want to just pull over or just remind yourself, go and Google image search or YouTube video search this XPeng AeroHT, AeroHT. One of the wildest things you will see, and apparently going to fly this year in China.
But it's so funny, like, and again, I mean, I guess they're telling the truth, but I was talking to other people and like, wait, you're making this? This is happening? Oh yeah, no, the prototype flew. We're gonna sell it.
Yeah.
It's a flying car, like an actual 8-rotor flying car.
Yep.
And just wild. Also, again, I mean, XPeng wasn't even a thing not that long ago, and now they're one of the major players on the global stage.
Yeah, when you hear about Chinese car manufacturers, it's always
nuts.
BYD, XPeng, and NIO are the ones that are brought up all the time. What will likely be coming in the future, though, is from the company that we're going to talk to next, this company Mobility and Harmony. They are backed by Foxconn.
Builders of this.
Yes, builders of not just that.
Your PlayStation.
Your PlayStation, your Xbox, compact computers back in the day. They started making Atari joysticks. That's how long they've been
in other
making
words, they're really good at making consumer electronic products.
Yes.
And Ed, what if we want to start our own car company? Who do we talk to?
You would want to talk to this guy, Cheng, from MIH, because they're trying to scale up this consortium, which is Mobility and Harmony, into becoming the world's go-to contract manufacturer for electric vehicles. So if you think about it, they already know how to put the batteries in a mobile phone that's got a big screen. As Jonny mentioned, they build everything from Xboxes to all the Nintendo devices to all the PlayStations. They know how to do this kind of stuff. Put wheels on it, you got yourself a software-defined vehicle.
And more importantly, if you ever find yourself in Taipei, you're going to want to hang out with Cheng. Trust me, check this one out.
Yes, he's great.
All right, so Cheng, thank you so much for joining us. You're from MIH, which I want to talk about, but you have actually a very long history in automotive.
Yes.
And you actually, I think you got your start very early on at Ford?
Yes.
Who was CEO of Ford at the time when you were there? It gives us the rough timing.
Nasser?
Was it Jacques Nasser?
Jacques Nasser.
Jacques Nasser.
Jacques Nasser's period.
He put together a team, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's still,
Out there.
yeah. Go ahead.
What were you doing at Ford for Nasser?
Jacques Nasser was promoting one Ford, Ford 2000.
Mm-hmm.
We're heading from the 80s through the 90s, and there are a whole bunch of brands, including Jag, Land Rover,
The premier automotive
Volvo,
group.
yeah,
PAG.
And we also have Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, and Mazda. We have a little bit of a Kia too. So there's so many brands, and it makes no sense that you have different platforms. So for 2000 to put everything together, commonize the platform, hopefully just like what a lot of OEMs are doing.
Right. And I mean, I remember, there was two different Ford Escorts. Like they couldn't even get the Fords on the same platform. There was a European Escort and a North American Escort.
Right.
And that was when people always talked about Ford One. They go, we got to start there, and then we'll get Aston Martin and Jag on the same platform.
I give you another one.
Yeah.
It's got a European Fiesta and then the Asia Pacific Festiva.
Right.
But it all start with a F, but different spelling.
Oh yeah. And then they went through the phase of everything needs to start with an E.
Right.
But, so you were doing, was it global purchasing?
I was on the global purchasing for based in Shanghai and buying all the components and then ship it to different production sites for Ford.
Okay.
So logistical.
Yeah.
Kind of
Purchasing.
work.
That's a good place to be. And then you moved. Is that were you to Fiat with?
After Ford, I moved. Sergio Marchionne come to me. That's the thing, and it was in 2007.
So are you a poker player?
I'm a smoker. So.
Okay.
And
So I knew it was one of the two. Yeah.
and a coffee drinker. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sergio, rest in peace. Sergio is
Yeah.
one of my favorite CEOs
Oh, he was great.
of all time. He's great. He's quite funny. Very, very sharp, and he would claim not to be a car guy, but he's very much a car guy.
Oh yeah.
but Sergio like classic music and jazz. So,
Yes.
So music, coffee,
Yeah.
Yes.
blackberries.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Famous for carrying around a BlackBerry for whatever country he was in a backpack, right?
6.
Yes. And black sweater. So you have kind of the black sweater.
Black sweater.
Yeah. So
It's all the same, but
Yes.
but he's got tons of it.
yes. Very, very clever guy. And then, so were you doing roughly the same thing for the group, Fiat Group, at that point?
Firstly, I replicate a global sourcing office for Sergio globally, still in Shanghai. And then started to negotiate with Chinese OEM Guangzhou,
Right.
and set up a joint venture
Right.
to launch the Fiat car. Then bring in Chrysler Jeep. So at the time, we're also merging Fiat and Chrysler.
Right.
Okay.
So all the initiatives were really from Sergio, but execution is the big thing.
Okay. That's interesting. So you really have been in the business through this whole the rise of China, all the joint ventures, seeing that all that happen,
Yes.
to now where China is starting to really take a lead on EV
Yeah.
production at
Yeah,
scale.
yeah.
So-
I think I was the one having a traditional OEM experience and then hop into the new energy vehicle.
Right.
And China is taking the lead right now. We kicked it off like 10 years ago.
Right.
I was on the stand in Ferrari launching the car, but the guys from the internet come approach me and say, "Do you want to do a EV?" I said, "What are you guys doing?" I said, "Yeah, we're internet guy. We don't know how to do the car, but you're the car guy. You can do it for us, and then we can partner together."
Well, let me ask you then. So, like, Ford, Chrysler, Fiat, very traditional manufacturers, as old as manufacturers get. What's like the big difference that you've noticed between like the Ford way, Sergio's way, and then with the Chinese new and massive, new Chinese car companies? What's the big difference?
Just to sum up, everybody want to commonize the platform. So Ford and Ford 2000 and one Ford strategy, Alan Murray is trying to bring everything to one Ford family. Sergio have so many brands. He has to also find a way to commonize it. But
And he famously said, "Why do we have more than one engine? Like, why?
Exactly.
Let's just have one engine." Yeah.
and
Just heresy.
to
Yeah.
build a 5 million cars club, bringing Fiat and Chrysler together. And eventually, after Sergio passed away, the Peugeot and Renault and the Citroën
Yeah.
merging.
Yeah, Stellantis. Yeah, yeah.
Stellantis. So it's still the way to go. So that's a common side. But different sides, it's Sergio has this wheel of driving everything, from the top to the working level.
Right.
For traditional has this hierarchy, and they organize it, and
Right.
they follow their pace. So there's a different management style, but in common, everything is commonization of the platform.
Right.
Okay.
So then, did you move? So after the GAC Fiat Chrysler joint venture, NIO was next, joining
Yes,
NIO.
yes.
Okay, and is that the internet company you were talking about?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you're listed as one of the co-founders, but you joined about, was it like a year after they started, or no?
No, I started and I told Sergio, and at that time was Mike Manley.
Mike Manley, yes.
Yeah, we
Still-
know him.
still in
sure.
the game,
Yeah.
Mike came to China very often, and I've told Mike, Mike, I'm done. He said, "What do you mean you're done?" I said, "Well, I'm going to do EV." He said, "Really?" And then he thought about it for like a minute and said, "Oh, you'll be very, very rich." I said, "What's that supposed to mean?" Then I found out, yeah.
Well, good for you, sir. Very good job. Good job.
Can I ask why? Why move? What was going on in your head? What were you seeing in 2014, 2015 that said, I need to go EV, right? This is for us in the US, for us at MotorTrend, 2013 we named Tesla Model S our car of the year, gave it the biggest award, right?
Yeah.
For us,
It is a very disruptive thing to even have an EV that was any good, because the ones before that had all been
well,
really
first
limited.
car of the year, first electric car of the year ever for us, and this we're celebrating 75 years this year. So that's kind of when it hit our radar.
First unanimous vote.
Yeah. When were EVs really part of your consciousness in professionally?
We have Fiat 500e, Cinquecento.
Yeah.
Right.
That didn't sell.
Right.
And Sergio was like pounding on the table and said, we lost tons of money on this.
My brother bought one.
Yeah. Very famously, he pounded on the table.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Unfortunately, that car didn't sell out. But I look at the car, I say, wow, this cute baby. I'm supposed to do something also for China. And to really get this going, I need a platform. And we talk about this, but because of everybody is just looking at Tesla and what they're doing, and Tesla is not making money. And Elon has this debacle of having a smaller volume and looking at Model 3. He's not sure, so he's sleeping in the plant, right? That story.
Right.
So I said, well, let me find out what's going on, because when the internet has come to me, I said I'll call my son, because both my son graduated from University of Michigan, and they're in the consulting business, and I call them, and then they say, Dad, you gotta do it. This is for young generation.
Right.
All right. I listen to my son. I do it.
Okay. All right. So then, I mean, joining NIO in that early, it must have been. I mean, it's very different, right? Coming from established multinational like Ford, and then building what you did with GAC and Fiat Chrysler. How many people are at the company when you joined?
We have about 50 people to start with.
Okay.
Like it's just start up, and then we moved to the new office. Later on, the Shanghai government gave us a compound. We were then ramping up in 2015 to about 1,000 to 2,000. Eventually, when we launched the first SUV ES8, it's about 7,000 people. Wow. So couple thousand.
That's a lot of growth.
That's fast.
Yeah.
That's very fast.
And how big is? I know we know NIO is massive, but how big now is
30,000 people.
30,000 people.
But they just chop off 20%, I think, roughly right now.
Did you ever cross paths with Jim Farley, the current CEO of Ford? You ever talk to him?
I know of him, but I didn't have, because I retired from Ford 2006.
Yeah.
He was at Toyota in 2006.
Yeah. And when Alan took over.
Right. Okay, because it's very interesting. I've had a lot of conversations with him. He's one of the reasons why we're here. He told me 3 years ago, he said, you guys are MotorTrend, you guys have to focus on not just EVs, but software-defined vehicles, number one. Number two, you have to look at China.
Yeah.
And you have to look at, he mentioned 2 companies specifically, NIO and XPeng.
Yeah.
And he said, you must go see what they're doing. Look at the assistant that NIO has in the car. Look at all of the stuff that they are delivering. And I think it's wild that he's essentially talking about you and a lot of what you've done and are doing, and your roots, are sort of with Ford, right? And it's sort of a full circle. Oh, and he mentioned, all of these companies use these big consulting, the McKinseys and this and that. And it's funny to hear that you are getting advice from your sons who are working in that space.
Boston Consulting.
Boston.
Yeah,
my wife works there.
Little plug. Oh, whoa.
Yeah, fantastic. So this is great. This is awesome.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about mobility and harmony before we run up against our time limit.
Yeah,
here.
exactly. So let's get.
Yeah.
You left in a little bit. You did leave NIO in 2019. Was there any? Why was it?
Well, I have a locked-up period of 6 months after IPO. So after that,
Okay.
I really like to retire. I file retirement, and also I have to notify the NYSE, so I can really get out of my share, some of my share. But that's a financial side. But the real side is I was like 2018. I was 60 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Young, it's young. Come on.
And I was about to go home because I'm from Taiwan. So I went back to Taipei.
Okay.
And luckily, I went back to Taipei, and the COVID erupted.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then, so you go back and you're.
Well, let's get to mobility.
Oh, I know.
and harmony.
How does this connect to? What's your connection then with Foxconn, Hanhai Precision Company Limited?
Okay. So one day, Terry Guo at that time, who was the founder of Foxconn, we were old-time friends. He always wanted to do something related to car.
But Foxconn's a manufacturer famous for the iPhone.
Among many things.
Many things, but that's their most
Well,
famous.
it's not only iPhone. It's got PlayStation, you got Nintendo, you got
Everything.
Everything that you can see, electronics.
Right. I'm just saying when people hear Americans
it's
hear
a phone.
Foxconn,
Okay.
we know iPhone. They were the ones that switched from plastic to glass. They had the muscle to do that.
High-tech contract manufacturing at scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next move for Foxconn is really get into another level of sophistication of technology. EV represent a huge opportunity, and pay for the foundation for robots, because once you complete the EV, the wheels, and then you turn into legs, and you can walk and you can run. Right. And then is in the future, there are three folds of Foxconn EV strategy: EV and then robot, and eventually merging the digital, medical things into it. So that take care of the lifestyle of people. Computer has been a lifestyle for 10 years, but on a mobility world, how can you make that even more user-friendly? That's the things that Foxconn is looking at.
Okay. So your old friend Terry calls you up, says, "Hey, how's retirement going? You want to start up a car company?"
You want to hear a story? The
Yes.
story is like 2019, just when I got out of this IPO process, and the launch of the ESA, which is the first SUV, is like the F-150, a little bit smaller, but it's got a very good machine called Nomi.
Yes.
It's an AI.
Yes.
And it's voice activated.
That's the assistant.
Just a little assistant, little ball, talks to you.
So Terry called me from Shenzhen and say, I was in Shanghai. He said, "Oh, I got this friend of yours. You want to come down here and look at your car? I was very interested in your Nomi, which is the AI."
Right.
And I said, "Well, yeah, but I'm kind of tied up. Won't you give me a couple of weeks?" So he said, "Well, we're going to see our friends in Italy. Won't you come with us?" I said, "Okay." I went to Turin with Terry and a whole bunch of the Foxconn executives. And then they said, "Well, we want to do a car in China together." I said, "Okay, I can help you." So I become an advisor to Terry. So after that, for 6 months, Terry was like saying, "Well, I'm pretty busy politically. I might run for president of Taiwan," and then the other side is Stellantis is forming, including FCS merging with Peugeot Group. So everybody was slowing down, and then I said, "Okay, I'm ready to come back to Taiwan. What do you want to do?" He already gave the chairmanship to Yang Lu. Yang is the current leader in Foxconn Group. He's the head. And he said, "Well, come back to Taipei." So I moved back to Taipei to live and started to form this idea of issue when we discuss about Ford and Fiat Chrysler, the common platform things.
Okay.
I always want to do a commonization between like S-Core or the Mazda 3 and the Volvo S40 should be on the same platform, but the brand really killing it because all the brand leader wanted their differentiation.
Sure.
So commonization is not much. So come back to Taiwan, look at the ICT process, the motherboard, everything underneath the motherboard, exactly the same. The camera, the module are all the same, but different configuration software-wise. The software-driven become the big thing.
Right.
And I've told the guy, yeah, I know how to do it. I was in NIO. I see software's really surpassing the previous age. That people are really they don't know nothing about the software, but the young generation getting to know everything. The millennial kids are already 23 years old.
Right.
They need to know their user experience better.
So let me break it down for the audience because you just said a lot. ICT, integrated chip, right? This is what you're talking about, right? So, and it's really more that common platform for EVs. and correct me if I'm wrong, it should be easier because they're all fundamentally a skateboard chassis, right? But the current concept is battery in the floor, motors somewhere between the wheels, and from that, no one's, when you use the Volvo and the Ford example, like no one's trying to put a 5-cylinder engine here or a 3-cylinder turbo over here.
Right.
You're gonna, the way to keep costs down low is to build really good batteries and really good high efficiency motors, and then define the brand in the styling,
Design,
in the UX,
and the software.
via software,
Yeah.
right? Okay, is that accurate?
Exactly, and there's one element is the buying factor. The key buying motivation is smart. It's no longer on the styling, the specification, the features.
Okay, it's what can it do for you? How does it save you time?
Yeah.
How does it make
The
your day
software will make vehicles smarter.
Right.
It's not the hardware. The hardware become commodities.
better?
Okay.
Okay. So then, and
And
all this
real
goes
quick,
back to
real quick though, when you say smart, so like self-driving is part of it.
What self-driving, the data collecting.
So not even so as a consumer, I don't care, but you're saying like a third party, they want that data.
They want the data,
Right.
but that data is gonna serve your customer better
Okay.
during the lifetime of your services.
Explain.
Because once you got the data, and then you can sort it out and give them advice of their user experience. My 30 days of experience, I have twice McDonald's on the road, Big Macs. When you
You're really
approach,
breaking it down for the American audience. Go ahead.
when you hit the store,
Right.
like 50 meters away, they're gonna give you a heads up. Hey, a couple weeks ago you were here. You have the Big Mac. You want to try it again?
Uh-huh.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
That's the
okay.
smart of the vehicle.
Okay. And then maybe there's like a coupon or something sent to your McDonald's app
Right.
that says, "Hey,
Because we're all from mechanical engineering. As an engineer, we don't think about the user side. We
Right.
always think about the technology side.
interesting."
That's the soft and software is the human factor, right? This is so crazy because everybody who's leading this revolution, this is just another, because you're a mechanical engineer by education, all the people of the current generation, the older guys, they're all mechanical
Yeah.
engineers, right?
Right.
And they're trying to wrap their head around software, which is
Yeah.
the younger,
Yeah.
so the younger generation.
I have a chance to walk through that period and work with the young people in China. They're all 30 years old, and what they need is a software-driven vehicle. They don't need something like, high performance, mechanical, superb, nothing.
Right.
They want the
Interesting.
phone experience. Okay.
Interesting.
So then let's bring it back to MIH. So MIH now is a consortium backed by Honhai Precision Company Limited and Foxconn to essentially do the contract manufacturing of these new EV software-defined vehicles for basically anybody.
Yeah.
Right? If Jonny and I want to come build a car,
Yeah.
we say, hey,
Say,
we
"Hey."
got a lot of money. We
Well-
want to build a car that does X, Y, and Z,
Right.
and you're going to say, looks good. What's your strategy? What's the
Yeah,
plan?
we could say that we want to hold this many people, go this far, and this is the price point. And then is that
Yeah,
accurate?
Johnny, let me explain a bit.
Yeah, please.
MIH stands for minimization, which is a simple like iPhone, and intrinsic as a substance, and then harmony. The idea of MIH started from Yang Liu, chairman, and me, was like, we want to build a platform just like the phone. And it's very simple, easy to use, very software driven. Software is going to make more recurring revenue rather than the platform, And when we do this, we have to open up to the other partner to come in and jump onto development of the vehicle, particularly on the software. But if you are seeing us as an Android of the vehicle, similarly, we are going to have this foundation of MIH Consortium, so people will be happy to develop together without really asking a whole bunch of complexity of development cost, the royalty first. They will work together, trying to find a solution, and once the solution is going to be stacked onto the vehicle, then we can monetize for them. So this is most of like an OpenAI idea as a nonprofit organization, but it will put people work together, and then you can monetize it with ChatGPT or whatever you want, right? So this is the process.
So then, does that mean and excuse me, because MotorTrend is very much focused on new cars, and we're always like, the styling.
We like the metal. We're in the metal.
But does that mean when you're? It seems to me like MIH is really about the software piece, the platform. It's platform agnostic. Does that mean, is it a flexible platform, or is it all dimensionally?
It's a flexible platform. The one that we show in the CES is the first small car.
Little city car.
Little city car.
Yeah.
We started small because the small is a challenge to do based on the size, the cost, and also a lot of elements of it. What we need to do is expand it. But front end might be carry over, but you elongate the wheelbase.
Right.
So you can do a 3-seater, 6-seater, 9-seater. We know it's very hard to compete with those B2C brands like Tesla or BYD or NIO at some extent. But when we look at the B2B market, those are the customers who are not being served.
Right.
Yeah. The fleet, the logistic company,
right.
the big brand for leasing.
Right.
So we are really seeing there's a big opportunity we can tailor-make for that. They went to
Kia came to a similar conclusion with what they're showing here at CES with their the whole platform beyond vehicle thing. It's really B2B. There'll be some B2C, but it's really B2B.
And look at the climate change and carbon issue.
Yeah. Right. It's
the
being
fleet,
driven.
The fleet is the contributor to the carbon.
Yeah.
It's not the private driver.
Right.
So we have to resolve the problem first.
Right. And that is a bigger problem because private drivers drive an hour a day, if that.
Yeah.
Fleets drive constantly.
Yeah.
You buy a van because you're going to do something with it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
let's clarify though. MIH, you said it minimize. What was it?
Minimization,
Yes,
and intrinsic and harmony.
But the actual name of the consortium is
Mobility in Harmony.
Mobility and Harmony.
I can name it anything. I can say money is here. Okay? I can also say make it happen.
I love it.
Make it happen.
This is great.
Some
I like
competition is
that,
like, okay, this is supposed to be made in Honghai. Okay, whatever you want to say.
Right. Very flexible.
Very new startup consortium, new idea. This audience is primarily North American. What does it mean to the American market? When might we see something from MIH?
I think for MIH as a consortium, is a global foundation, and we see North America will be our next step. We're going to have to put our foot on the ground in Asia Pacific first.
Yep.
Smaller car serve the needs of different countries.
Right.
But when you come to U.S. is a very challenging market to be in.
For a lot of reasons. Yeah.
I have all the respect for our Korean friend, Vietnam friend. They're coming here trying to take a piece of it. But for us, we would like to serve the B2B customer better. So we have to make sure all our solution is hunky-dory before we come.
And so reading between the lines, you're going to focus, when we see an MIH product, it'll probably be in the transit space and in commerce and business to business rather than a Model 3 competitor.
Yeah.
Right.
We have to make the standardization and modularization right. For instance, our motor, if you are commonizing the starter and also the so-called all the housing, you want to minimize your tooling.
Sure.
So you have 40 kilowatt, 60, 80, 100. So people can pick and choose what they want.
Right. Just add more battery packs.
Yeah. And the form factor is to make sure the battery spec. I don't mind the cell, the pouch, or even solid state in the future, but the form factor, just like a computer industry, you have to make it right. So when the B2B customer come to us and say, okay, I want this size. I want to take so much cargo. I give it to him.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, we're running out of time. We're getting some high sign signals over here. Just a couple more questions.
What kind of guitars do you play?
Well, hey, no. That's the last one. Those are the last one.
Oh, I thought when you say running out of time.
You are in a very unique position, and in that you have worked again, for American companies, for multinationals, you had a long career in China. You're now back in Taiwan. The burning question on everybody's mind in America is, when are we going to see some of these Chinese car companies, some of the NIOs of the world, the XPengs, the BYDs? Do you have any insights? Is there anything you can tell us? We are very happy and honored to have you here. You're the second Chinese car company executive that we've been able to get, and everybody's been like, so I'm hopeful that because you're now in Taiwan and you're like you're kind of retired, you'll be like, I can tell you everything.
Spill it.
Well, I would say that our experience in Japan Mobility Show, we were in the same forum. BYD was there, but it took a lot of impact into Toyota and Honda and those guys. As a Taiwanese, we are there as well. We have a small, cute, our X3 vehicle, and they're saying, "Oh, it fit Japanese market well." And
It would, yeah.
Yeah. And I try to be very user friendly, and it's not invading.
Right.
So when we come over, we would like to be part of the society, and then we help resolve not only the customer's issue, also the environmental issue. So I think for us, in the next couple of years, we'll start to turn up because also Foxconn has production sites in Ohio, and then also in Wisconsin. So we have the opportunity to come here.
Right.
We can ask Foxconn to do contract manufacturing for the vehicle that we design.
And so, and that's I'm assuming the way Foxconn's set up, it's easy to say make a vehicle now.
Yeah, because Foxconn is so good at manufacturing.
Right, even in Ohio and Wisconsin.
Yeah, but then Foxconn is also having this MIH Consortium started the design. So we're not just doing another phone. We're doing something that we will be a white brand, but whoever wants it, we can work out with it. Okay, right. So good enough?
Yeah.
I think we should start a car company.
Yes, we should. So you love
built in Wisconsin.
What? You're a musician.
I got a Washburn. I got a Gibson. I got Fender. You name it. I have 20 guitars.
20. That's
I have also bass. I got you a Fender bass. Yeah.
Fender bass. I play Warwick.
Yeah. I got a Martin D48.
Okay.
Acoustic. Okay. So you name it. I have.
And what do you like to play? Who's your favorite?
I did the Led Zeppelin. I did the Purple. But
okay.
I talk to the kids now.
Real
they
music.
say, "Who are they?"
Yeah. Well, don't worry about the kids are all wrong about everything, except for a software-defined vehicle.
And then last question: what car do you drive? What do you drive at home?
I was about to get one of our vehicles. It's the new car in Taiwan called Luxgen, the N7, which is the first electric car that Foxconn launched in Taiwan. I have back in China. I still have my Neo.
Okay.
In my experience, when I was at Ford, I told my son, Ford is the best car in the world. They said, "Yeah, right. Dad, let's drive the Mustang." And then when I moved to Fiat, they said, "Dad, is Ford still the best car in the world?" I said, maybe Fiat.
Yeah, right.
So
right, gotcha.
I always drive the car that I built.
Good.
Okay.
So that's the thing.
Great.
That's good.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, listen.
Awesome. Yeah, this
was
fun.
great. I have so much more to ask you, but we're out of time. I would love to chat with you again anytime you're in Los Angeles. Please come and visit us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're going to try to come out and we're going to try to go to China, to Taiwan, and check things out. So we'll be sure to reach out.
Welcome to Taiwan.
Okay.
We'll
We'd love to go.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Great.
This was great.
Thank you
Johnny.
so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
The InEVitable Vodcast, brought to you by the all-electric Nissan Ariya. Inspired by the future, designed for the now.